today, let us know first the objectives that we should meet at the end of this discussion. So the first objective is the students will be able to describe the structure of poetry. Second, identify the 7 types of poetry. And third, generate examples of the different kinds of poetry. So obviously, our topic for today will be about the types of...
So good day again, class. Before we hop into our lesson for today, I'm going to have an oral recitation first about our lesson yesterday. So you, Jason, what is poetry to you? That's good. That's a good answer, Jason. So, and the second question is, what is the purpose of poetry to you, Samantha? What is the purpose of poetry? That's also correct. So, based on your answer, guys, I guess all of you have understood our lesson yesterday. So, before we hop into our lesson for today, I'm going to have an activity first. And in this activity, I'm going to divide the class into groups of 5. And I will be presenting to you different kinds of poetries. All you guys have to do is to read and write the observable things that you have observed from the different kinds of poetries. So, here's the twist. You won't be writing those observed things in a normal way. You have to be creative in listing down all the different kinds of things that you observe in the poetry. So anybody has questions about the instruction? No whatsoever? Okay, so let's hop in the activity. So you guys have enjoyed our activity for today? That's good, that's good. So before we hop into our lesson for today, I'm going to ask you questions first about the activity that we had. So the first question is, what are the things that you have observed from our activity? Okay, so how are they being constructed and how would you describe it? Okay, so for the last one, what do you think is the connection of our activity to our lesson? Okay, so I guess all you guys are warmed up from the activity that we had. So now let's hop into our lesson.
Our topic for today is about the structure of poetry and its types. So what is the structure of poetry? The structure of poem or poetry refers to how it was crafted. A poem with strong structure allows the reader to move easily from beginning to end, helping to create particular response within the reader. The structure of poetry includes technical things or basic things such as the stanza, rhyme, meter, and line break or line length. A stanza is a group of lines in a poem. It is often called a verse. Basically, a typical poem is composed of 3 to 5 stanzas. A rhyme is a pattern of words that contain similar sounds. I have an example here. As you can see, there are a group of lines. So these group of lines are called stanzas, and the highlighted part is what we call rhyme because it contains similar sounds. Next, we have meter. Meter is a rhythmic structure of a poem. Sometimes you can feel the meter or rhythm by tapping for each syllable. A line break. A line break is where a line of poetry ends. A line break also is a good time to point out commas, periods, hyphens to show the effect on how the poem to the types of poetry. Let's define each types. First, we have sonnet. It is concerned with the matters of the heart. Again, the sonnet is concerned with the matters of the heart. There are 2 common forms of sonnet, the Shakespearean and the Petrarchan. They differ slightly in their internal structure, but both have 14 lines. Next, we have haiku. Haiku is a disciplined form of poetry that has its origins in 17th century Japanese poetry. It concerns with nature and natural phenomena such as seasons and weather. So how to write a haiku? Haiku is written in 3-line stanzas. The first line contains 5 syllables, the second line contains 7 syllables, and the third line contains 5 syllables. Again, the haiku, the poem is refers to nature or natural phenomena. Next, we have elegy. Elegy is a type of poem that don't really come with specific structural requirements, but still constitute a recognizable form of poetry. What makes an elegy an elegy is it's subject to death. An elegy is a poem or a song that expresses lamentation or death. It is a poem of reflection on death or someone who has died. Elegy usually comes in 3 parts: grief, praise for the deceased, and finally the consolation. Next one, we have limerick. Limerick is children's favorite. The most defining characteristics of limerick are the renowned humor. Given their well-deserved reputation for being funny and occasion crude, it's easy to overlook the fact that beneath the laughs lie quite a tightly structured verse. So how to write a limerick? A limerick is actually a 5-line poem. It is actually written in a witty or funny.
Again, on the lesson proper of the lesson plan, so this portion emphasizes more on the topic. So the lesson here is being discussed and the content here must be really emphasized, providing some definitions and other examples. So in such way, students can really understand what the topic is all about. So now I will just run through the content of this lesson. So here are some of the types of the poetry that we have. So we have ballad, the ode, and the epic. So ballad, so these are the types of narrative poetry that has close ties to musical forms. So ballads written as poetry can often easily be adapted as song lyrics. So often, this is romantic, adventurous, or humorous. It is also arranged in groups of 4 lines and also uses alternating 4 and 3 beat lines. So the rhyme scheme is usually AB, AB, or ABCB. The next one is the ode. So this is another poetry form that traces its origin to ancient Greece. So odes were originally intended to be sung, but nowadays, though no longer sung, the term ode still refers to a type of lyrical poem that addresses and often praises a certain thing, a person, or event. So usually, it has a solemn and a serious tone, explores universal elements of the theme, and has powerful emotional element, often involving catharsis. The last one here is epic. So these are long narrative poems that recount heroic tales, usually focus on legendary or mythical figure. So this is written in an elevated style, and also it recounts his heroic events. So that will be the last. Now I will be giving you some examples of ballad, ode, and epic. So again, in the 4 components of macro skills, the last and probably the most complex skills in communication would be writing. So in teaching, teachers must be effective in teaching such thing. So say for example, in the lesson proper, the teacher should emphasize the topic and must explain very well to the students what the lesson is all about. So therefore, in the lesson plan, in the lesson proper, the teacher must put an effort into scaffolding each student to better know the topic and out from it, merging his or her learning into real-life situations.
Hello students, since we are done to our discussion, as usual we are going to have our reflection. We will going to have an oral recitation and ask you with the following questions. First we have, what is the significance of knowing the elements and structure of poetry? And second, what is poetry? For our application, you are given an examples of poetry and identify what is the type of poetry is it. And I will ask 5 volunteers from the class to answer. First question, a world of dew, and within every dewdrop, a world of struggle. What is the answer? You are correct. The answer is haiku. And now we're down to our last question. Question number 5. Alone it stands in Pussy Fall land, a temple by muses set apart, a perfect structure of consummate art, by artists builded and by genius planned. And the answer is Petrarchan sonnet.
Since we were done with the lessons, we are going now for our assessments. For our assessments, it is a individual activity. I would like each of you to write your story of your life using or choosing any form of poetry that you want. I will grade you with the following criteria: the accuracy of poetry 15 points, the imagery 10 points, the creativity 5 points, overall 30 points. So, we were done with the lessons. Let's go now for our assignments. In our assignments, in a 1/4 sheet of paper, I would like you to answer the following question. And these assignments will be submitted on Thursday, October 22, 2020.